It's amazing. Mike Shoesmith, we welcome you. Now, folks, let me tell you who's on the line for this last segment, and we invite you to call because Mike and I are going to just rip evolution to shreds. And you're listening in the next few moments to Mike Shoesmith. Now, many of you know who Mike is, but let me tell you, Mike is the executive director of the PPSIMMONS Ministry, which is a mega-viral, world-famous, worldwide ministry. Some 24 million views of its videos, not counting 1 million hits or views a month of its Facebook site, hundreds and hundreds of thousands every couple of weeks on Facebook. There's 2 or 3 Facebook sites affiliated with it. Plus, Mike is a syndicated blogger for the PPSIMMONS ministry. Plus, he's an author of several books. And so, Mike Shoesmith, plus he's my Canadian correspondent. He hails out of Toronto, Canada. He has been with me ever since the inception of Freedom Friday, and he is my Toronto correspondent. Mike Shoesmith, welcome to this special edition of Your Turn.
Well, not only that, but we're about to launch, I might as well announce it here, we're about to launch PPSIMMONS Television, coming to a website near you. It's going to be a wild time. We're just setting up the studio equipment in the northern barracks.
The Northern Command. It'll be
Northern Command Center up here. We're setting up the equipment. We're just actually in the midst of buying the equipment to set up the studio up here in the Great White North, where, by the way, temperatures are dropping below freezing at night. So we have to close the pool and get the jackets out. But listen, I want to talk to you guys a little science today, because there's a lot of science in the news. And so we're going to open with a little thing here that hit the front pages of Yahoo News this morning.
Okay, Mike, Mike, before you go any further, let me just say, you're going to do this, and let me say to our listeners, if you want to call and talk to Mike Shoesmith, challenge Mike Shoesmith, challenge me, or agree with us or disagree, it doesn't matter. Call 623-1330, area code 850. First of all, you get to talk to the lovely Mallory. Second of all, she'll put you on hold. Thirdly, we'll get you on the air with us, and you can talk to either Mike and or me personally and live. So 623-1330, area code 850. Mike, tell us what's in the news and science.
Well, listen, first of all, this is a news article. This is valid news. This isn't sensationalism. But if there are people listening who have sensitive ears, we'll give you 10 seconds to cover those ears. Okay, listen, your 10 seconds is up. This was a article in the news, and the headline of the article was "New Theory on Why Men Love Breasts." And it's fascinating because the line in the article that caught my attention was this. Are you ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
It says, "Evolution has made men want to do this."
Evolution has. Well, isn't evolution brilliant? Evolution has done this. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I know I'm not going to get into all the sophistry on this, but listen, this guy is getting hammered by even people in his own evolution community because they can't figure out why men love women and women love men.
Of course.
And sexually.
Well, and you know what?
Figure it out.
And you know what, Mike? You and I, well, you're the one that revealed it, and I did a video on it, and you and I orchestrated this together. But you and I came up with a brilliant, and I'm going to say brilliant, if I must say so myself, we came up with a brilliant observation that the evolution world went crazy over because all they could do is attack the messenger because they couldn't attack the message, and it makes evolution look so evil and silly, and it is evil. It is silly. And you remember, Mike, we theorized and rationalized, look, if evolution is survival of the fittest, and the strongest survives and the fittest survive, now let's look at this worldwide phenomena of the abuse of women by men.
Right.
Okay? So evolution made women the weaker sex overall, I mean physically, that's documented fact, and evolution then, and this dovetails right into this newest discovery that you're just talking about, or this newest assertion, not discovery. So evolution then is responsible for the abuse of women worldwide because they're the weaker, they're the lesser as far as physical ability goes, and so worldwide, largely speaking, men abuse women. And this is the fault of evolution, right?
Well, that's exactly right, and I learned something from you actually years ago. And this is one of the points that endeared me to you. Was you did a study on this years ago, and it was fascinating. It was part of your evolution conundrum series. Just so much as evolution theory teaches that humanity began as a drop of sludge dripping off a rock billions of years ago, and began to hit the cellular level, and then the cells began to multiply, and so eventually over time, the evolution decided to use the most wasteful method of reproduction through sexuality.
Right.
Well, that is not what would happen if evolution was true. Cellular multiplication would just continue on infinitum.
Right.
The act of sexuality and intercourse is such a wasteful act as far as energy is concerned that there is no way through natural selection sexuality would even become a manifest activity on the earth. Well, now I happen to have an account with this particular science rag called LiveScience.com, but I left a comment there, and this is my comment, and it's quite brilliant actually. I wrote in the comment section, the answer to the question of why men love breasts is so much easier understood if we simply set aside the nonsensical atheist dogma of microbe to man evolution and simply accept the most obvious and beautiful mechanism for life. God did it. Listen, God created men to be visually stimulated, and men are visually stimulated by women and the way they look and the way they present themselves. And listen, this is all so easy to understand. God did it is the mechanism. Evolution has nothing to do with this. This is entirely presuppositional, and this is not science.
Yeah,
I know you agree with that.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of Occam's razor, isn't it? I mean, you know, the simplest explanation is usually the answer.
Well, and Occam was a monk who lived hundreds of years ago, who was a science guy, and he basically said, you know, science is all about figuring out the explanation that has the least possible assumptions.
Right.
And man, do you have to assume when you say evolution did it when it comes to sexuality?
Right.
I mean, that is you have to pile assumption upon assumption,
yeah.
And Occam would just shake his head at that.
Yeah, he would shake his head. Absolutely. Folks, listen, in just a moment we're going to take a time out, but if you want to call and be a part of this, because we're going to talk more about evolution, the ridiculousness of it, the pseudoscientific nature of evolution, and we're talking with Mike Shoesmith, who is an expert in this, an author of several books, a syndicated blogger, the executive director of the worldwide and viral PPSIMMONS ministry, and Mike Shoesmith. And so we're going to talk about this. But Mike, listen, we're going to take a break. But before we do, and I've got to say, regarding sexuality, you talk about the impossibility of it. And yes, I have done videos. In fact, this what I'm getting ready to say, I think is also in my book, The Magic Man in the Sky, Effectively Defending the Christian Faith, #1 bestseller. But I talk about there, where did the first male come from? Where did the first female come from? How is it that the first female have all of these working parts within her that produce cells, you know, the egg cell and the womb and everything that's there to make that work, and then the first male comes along with all of his parts working and all of the internal organs and the internal cells and everything, and then that male and that female come together, and the two cells from each of the male and female, they're joined together inside the womb of the female, and another human. I mean, come on. How does evolution?
LiveScience.com and look for the article "Why Men Love Breasts" and just read that. It's highly scientific. There's nothing obscene about it.
Right.
But you will learn that these people can't agree on it. This guy's being attacked by his own peers because they have no idea how this happened. But when we come back, we're going to talk about an article that really does throw quite a few nails into the evolution coffin.
Yeah.
You guys will want to stay tuned for that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if you want to call and be a part of the show, 623-1330, area code 850. A very special edition of Your Turn. Carl Gallups is your host. Mallory Bardwell, your world-famous producer. Mike Shoesmith, our special guest host this afternoon. When we come back, more of Mike Shoesmith, plus your calls if you'd like to be a part of the show. 623-1330, area code 850. We'll be right back.